The CCP's first evacuation of urban youth to the countryside began in the mid-1950s. At that time, many young students, influenced by CCP propaganda, voluntarily went to the countryside to be re-educated by poor peasants, aiming to integrate with workers and peasants. From 1962 onwards, the movement became increasingly politicized. Between 1962 and 1966, the CCP forcibly relocated more than 1.6 million secondary school graduates from cities to the countryside or remote areas. These individuals, often from poor families, were unable to pursue higher education or secure employment. The real organized, large-scale, and compulsory movement of intellectual youth to the countryside took place during the Cultural Revolution. By 1968, the Red Guard movement had been ongoing for more than 2 years, and Mao's main political opponents had been purged. Despite Mao's attempts to encourage students to resume classes and return to normal life, the turmoil and chaos in Chinese society persisted. By the summer of 1968, universities had not begun to enroll students, factories were not recruiting workers, and approximately 4 million high school graduates from 1966 to 1968 were unable to continue their studies or find employment. This became an urgent social problem for the CCP, as the millions of young people utilized by Mao during the Cultural Revolution had become a burden. In response, the CCP once again used its strategy of discarding after use. On December 22, 1968, the People's Daily published an editorial quoting Mao Zedong's directive that intellectual youths should go to the countryside to be re-educated by poor and lower-middle peasants. This initiated a large-scale down to the countryside movement, during which millions of students, from the 1966-1968 high school graduate cohorts were forced to go to the countryside. This move not only addressed the immediate social issues faced by young students, but also eliminated a potential threat to the CCP's political stability. During the Cultural Revolution, more than 16 million intellectual youths were sent to the countryside, affecting nearly every urban family. The youth of tens of millions were wasted, leading to a significant break in the generation of scientific and technological personnel in China during the 1980s and 1990s. In the late 1970s, intellectual youths in Yunnan and Xinjiang began large-scale protests, including petitions, strikes, railroad sleep-ins, and hunger strikes, demanding to return to the cities. In October 1978, the CCP decided to stop the down to the countryside movement and began addressing the problem of returning intellectual youth to the cities and finding them employment.